I was just your typical confused young man, didn't know where the hell I was going, but I knew I had to do something with my life. I started that business and my accountant was like, "Do you realize you made $1 million last year?" I was like, "Holy shit." Once money isn't your objective anymore, you can really do whatever the hell you want.
You're a man living in the modern world in a time when men and manhood are not what they once were. You live life on your own terms. You're self-sufficient. You think for yourself and you march to the beat of your own drum. When life knocks you down, you get back up because in your gut, you know that's what men do. You're a badass and a warrior. And on the days when you forget, we are here to remind you who you really are.
Welcome to the Sovereign Man Podcast, where we aim to make men masculine again. I'm your man, Nikki Ballou, and we have a very special guest here for you today, Justin Montgomery. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Hey, thanks, Nikki. Appreciate you having me on here.
Thanks for being on the show, man. I really enjoyed our off-camera conversation the other day, and your story is quite compelling. So if you wouldn't mind, why don't you start by sharing your backstory?
Sure. You want me to talk about my business success story or just kind of rags to riches?
The whole shebang, brother. Give it to me.
The whole shebang. All right. So, I grew up in East Tennessee with a single mother. So a lot of guys out there, growing up with a single mother, dad's not really in the picture. I grew up poor as hell. Didn't really have shit. I was a skinny nerd, glasses, hand-me-down clothes. I came from absolutely nothing. Didn't have any self-confidence whatsoever. My first girlfriend was, I don't even know, 17 years old or something, didn't get laid till I was like 18 or something. Very few girlfriends in college, that kind of a thing. I was just your typical confused young man who came from a very poor family and just didn't know where the hell I was going, but I knew I had to do something with my life. So, I was like, I'm going to go to college. So I was the first person in my family ever go to college. Graduated with my bachelor's degree in biology and chemistry in 2007. Took a year off, didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was planning on going to dental school or something. And yeah, I just wanted.
Like, dude, you surprised the hell out of me with that dental school.
I just want to do something that's gonna make money, man. That's all I really gave a shit about.
Bro.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. So I was just like trying to figure out something I could, do to make money, basically. And anyways, I took a year off. I was working bullshit jobs like, waiting, bartending and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to do something. This isn't going to be a good long-term solution. So I was like, what's the quickest way I can make some pretty decent money? So I decided to go to nursing school of all things. There's something called an accelerated BSN program, which is if you already have a bachelor's degree, you can become a bachelor's prepared registered nurse in like a year. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, that sounds pretty easy. It's nice and quick. So I enrolled in that, got accepted, did that, became a registered nurse, making pretty decent money, working in the emergency department, that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to become a nurse practitioner. That's my next step. So nurse practitioner is a master's degree. A nurse practitioner is kind of like a physician's assistant. You're kind of in between a nurse and a doctor, essentially, right? So, you have the ability to prescribe, diagnose, all that kind of stuff. Basically, you can do everything a doctor can, but you can't perform surgery, essentially. Yeah. So I became a nurse practitioner, graduated nurse practitioner school in 2013. Got a job out of NP school, working in the ER and urgent care, making $140,000 a year. So I started actually making some real money.
Yeah.
Making actually some real money for the first time in my life, like real money. Not, as a registered nurse, I was making like $70,000 a year, which is still pretty good, especially for 2011, 2012, that was good money.
Yeah.
140,000 in 2013 was really good money.
Ooh.
So yeah. I worked my ass off, seeing a lot of patients and that kind of a thing. And I had my first marriage at that point, young and stupid, got married to the wrong girl kind of a thing.
Done that.
Yeah. Piece of advice, guys, do not get married until you are at least 30 or 35 years old. Like, build your empire first. All right.
Yes.
So anyways, though, I was sick of working for people basically. Like I realized that there was a real significant ceiling cap to what I could do as a nurse practitioner. Granted, I was making good money, but I mean, I couldn't make more than that unless I just picked up extra shifts. And I didn't want to just, work to death. I don't want to work 78 hours a week,
Yeah.
yeah, so I decided it was time to start a business. So I started my own practice. So I moved to a state where nurse practitioners have independent practice, which means they can basically function as a doctor. You can open up your own practice, you can see patients, you can do whatever you want. So I moved to a Western state and did that. So I started a medical cannabis clinic first, just because it was easy money. I basically handed out medical cannabis cards to people essentially. $50 a pop, cash only, like super easy money. I was like, well, this isn't scalable. Like I can't really scale this into $1 million business. So I'm gonna open up a men's health clinic. So I opened up a men's health practice where, we treat men we treat them with testosterone replacement therapy, essentially, TRT, human growth hormone, peptides, a wellness clinic for men, a concierge practice for men.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, when you have a men's health practice, you start talking with men who are business owners, like, because this is a cash-based practice. You're not getting someone who comes in with Medicaid who's an entitled asshole, right?
Yeah.
Like you're getting people who are paying cash. And so I was starting to talk to really high-level men coming in here, like business owners, land developers, like, millionaires. And I started kind of getting the wheels turning in my head. And I was like, this men's health practice is great. I opened up a second location across the state. So I had two locations. It was a successful business. I was making good money. But I wanted more. I wanted something that was really scalable, something that was a little bit more passive in nature, something that I could scale without having to put more time into it. And so that's when I started a course business. So I started an online course business where I taught medical providers, so nurse practitioners, PAs, chiropractors, doctors, etc. I taught them how to start their own practice, basically. So my first course was how to start a men's health clinic. That's what I knew to do.
That's
My
awesome.
second course was my second course was how to start a medical cannabis clinic, And so basically I created this business in 2020 where I taught people how to start practices. So the courses were already recorded. So it was evergreen in nature, which means it was always there, always for sale, 24/7, 365 days a year. And I started that business. And in the first year, I remember my accountant, we were doing my taxes, and my accountant was like, "Do you realize you made $1 million last year?" I was like, "Holy shit, I guess I did."
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I was 30 in 2020, I would have been 36 years old. So I was like, damn, I made $1 million. Holy shit. I paid my house off, paid my car off, paid my student loans off. Like I was just like, I'm gonna be debt free. That's what I decided to do with all that money. So became debt free. And I was like, I'm really sitting on a business here I'm really sitting on something here. I need to scale the shit out of this. And so I scaled it, man. I doubled down on it. And within 3 or 4 years, it was, doing multiple seven figures a year, and had a pretty solid exit event, and basically essentially retired with an 8-figure net worth at the age of 39 years old.
Damn.
So, yeah. So here I am at 41 now, and just kind of trying to live my best life, trying to figure out what it is that I'm doing, So yeah, here I am.
You're too young to retire at 41. So what is it that you decided to do once you had your 8-figure exit?
Well, I realized that once money isn't your objective anymore, you can really do whatever the hell you want, right? Like you're not tied down to generating a profit. You know what I mean? Like you can pursue things without having that constant anxiety in the back of your head about shit. I need to make this much money this month. I need to make this much money. I need to pay expenses. I need to do this, do that. So money wasn't really my objective anymore. So I decided to just start mentoring people. Essentially, I started teaching people kind of how to start scalable continuing education course businesses. And so I started a new business called procoursestart.com, where I teach people how to start scalable profession focused course businesses. And so I do that. And my objective isn't really to make a lot of money with it. My objective is to really just help some people pay the expenses, pay the marketing expenses to get the word out, maybe make a few extra bucks. But yeah, other than that, man, I take on a lot of I have a lot of male patients at my men's health clinic. I still see patients because I enjoy doing it. Yeah, I enjoy doing it, Like, I mean,
Damn.
why would I stop doing something I enjoy doing? So, I mean, I only see patients like 1 day a week, but I have an established base of patients that I really, really like. And a lot of them I go the extra mile with them. I really help dial in their health. I help them with business. I kind of become a mentor to them, so to speak. And so yeah, I just I enjoy helping people at this point without having the goal of making a lot of money.
That's a beautiful thing. Being someone who enjoys helping people, someone who's heart driven, it frankly probably makes it easier for you to make money that way. But tell me about this new venture that you're in. Like, what kind of person could benefit from starting their own online course business?
Well, there's a big difference. So there's a big difference between just a course business and a professional focused course business.
Okay.
So I was a professional, right? I was a licensed nurse practitioner. And
Yep.
so I taught other licensed people how to do something very specialized, right?
Yep.
I taught them very niched, specialized clinical skills, very niched, specific business skills within that niche.
Right.
Um, so there's a big difference between that and just starting a course business where you teach people how to, I don't know, do marketing or teach people how to trade stocks or, just you're targeting the average person. I wasn't targeting the average person. So I try to teach people how to focus and target a specific group of professionals, like really niche down because I mean, you've heard this before, riches are in the niches and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's very true. I mean, granted, you're probably never going to scale to $1 billion business being extremely niche, but you can definitely make a 7 or 8 figure business being very niched. And so, yeah, so I teach people how to start professional focused businesses, course businesses. So essentially, if you have skills or knowledge where you could teach a professional something that that'll benefit them, then you can start a profession focused course business. You just have
Give
to
me
have
an
some kind of
example.
specialized knowledge. Sorry.
Give me an example. Talk to me about maybe a client you've worked with or something like that.
Yeah. Well, most of the clients that I work with are going to be a licensed professional. So, I have a client now who's a psychologist, and she created a business where she targets other mental health professionals, teaching them how to do a specialized mental health assessment. Like that's all her clients are. She does, $80,000 a month doing that. And she might have 30 or 40 clients at a time. Like these are very high ticket, courses. I have another client who's a medical doctor who's teaching other medical doctors a very niche clinical skill.
Mm,
I've had a lawyer who wants to teach other lawyers what they know. So basically, a professional just knows something that wants to teach another professional kind of what they know. I have had a client before who isn't a professional, who was more of a business person, who owned multiple businesses, but they wanted to start a professional focused course business, but hire out the professional content essentially. So this guy's just a business owner. He started the business itself, and he
mm,
just contracts out with accountants, and those accountants produce the content and the courses and stuff for him. He pays them, and then he essentially does the business up part of it, right? He markets it and sells it and that kind of a thing, and he's making the profit while he just pays these accountants, $5,000 to develop a course for him or something. So there's multiple avenues you can take.
You know, I'm in the business of teaching people who are business people, who have a background in business, who maybe have been running a coaching practice or consulting practice, how to take the innate knowledge they have and turn it into basically commercial expertise that people are willing to pay for. And one of the key things we tell people in that business is you really need to find a way to not be in the sea of sameness. You got to find a way to stand out. You got to find a way to become professionally famous, as it were. And most of them initially resist that idea because they want to appeal to everybody. But I think that's a mistake. And eventually, most people see that, and eventually they find a way to niche down, as you put it, or niche, as we say in Canada. But what you're doing with a professional services-based course business, that's taking it to a whole new level. I like the idea of someone who is a professional in a field teaching a course to other professionals in the field about how they can either upgrade their skill, make more money, run their front desk better, whatever.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of value in that. I really do. And I just want to kind of commend you for coming up with a pretty brilliant idea, because it really is quite brilliant. And what you're teaching people now, is this based on an online course, or do you do a lot of heavy one-on-one coaching with them? Like, how does all that work?
Yeah. So it's predominantly, I mean, I have a couple programs really. Like I have an evergreen course that I developed that's 15, 16 hours long. I mean, no AI. I didn't use ChatGPT to make this shit for me. I made it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's like it's a actual 15, 16 hour long course where I
Mhm.
walk you through the process of start to scaling it to eventually selling the business if you would like to. I teach you how to sell it too, like what you need to do to have a sellable course business. And so I have that. It's pre-recorded. It's done for you. It's like I said, it's 16 hours long. You can get done. You can finish it in a week if you wanted to, and give you it's the entire blueprint on how to do it. So I have that. But then I also do I have a private kind of mastermind where, professionals get in there. I have like a 14 to 16 week kind of challenge where I break down what they need to be doing every single week. And then additionally with that, there's webinars and Q&A sessions and a private message board and that kind of a thing. And then I also do just like one-on-one mentorship with people who just kind of really, really, really want their hand held and really want that one-on-one kind of thing. So that's kind of how I've structured it.
It's brilliant, man. You've really created something unique. It's something that I don't see anybody else out there creating. There's a lot of people who teach people how to put courses together. There's not a lot of people who have taken the angle of doing it from the point of view of, you're a licensed professional. I'm going to show you how, as a licensed professional, you can bring this out there to the marketplace and make money from it. Kudos.
Yeah.
Pretty darn brilliant, man. So how did this confused kid from East Tennessee get all this figured out and get himself
Man.
to the 8-figure exit that made him a multimillionaire, and now is going on to his next big thing?
Yeah, dude, I've put a lot of thought into that, like why was I so much different than my siblings, my cousins, people that I went to high school with? Like, what was it that made me a little bit different? Like, where did that ambition come from? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that resourcefulness. And I think that it was just something that, when I was growing up, I just decided I don't want to live this way anymore. I'm going to do
No.
something to change it. So I've always been addicted to knowledge. I'm always learning something. I learn something every single day. And so I think that I don't know. Like, I don't know. Is it an innate thing that God gives you, or is it something that's an environmental factor where you watch some TV show one day and something kind of just, switches on a gene in your brain that says this is what you're going to do? I really don't know where it came from, but yeah, I mean, here I am, and yeah.
Justin, I like Addicted to Knowledge. That's a good title for the episode. Addicted to Knowledge, the Justin Montgomery story. Because to me, it's pretty incredible that your environment did not call for you to become a multimillionaire. It just didn't, right? You grew up single mom, poor. Nobody around you was a multimillionaire. Nobody around you was speaking positivity and pouring into you. You kind of took a look at what you had and you said, I want better. And you almost were your own peer group. You were your own mentor for quite a while. I'm sure you ended up getting some mentors. I'm sure you ended up joining some peer groups and all of that, but you were the one who were self-started, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd say that's probably accurate. I mean, there was always a part of me that was hustling,
Sure.
like I remember in middle school or high school, I would sell like little, spit wad shooters that I would make with with like a mechanical pen, I'd sell them for like $1 or something, I mean, I was always trying to make a buck. So I just tried to I had to figure out how to make my own way, so to speak. I mean, there was times where I'd come up with these elaborate kind of scams and stuff to try to make money. I mean, I was a punk when I was 18 years old, but
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us were, I mean, it's amazing. I didn't go to prison for some of the shit I did, but yeah, so I think that, yeah, I didn't really have anyone to really help me, my grandfather, he did okay. He retired at a younger age at like 55, but that was back in the days where you work for somewhere, you work for the power company for 20 years and you get a pension for the rest of your life. That doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
So I mean, he was kind of a little bit of a role model for me, but I think what really hit for me was when I went to college, I was finally able to get out of the environment that I grew up in, essentially, I mean, white trash, people who didn't have any kind of ambition to do anything in life. And, I didn't know that you could do anything else outside of being like a high school teacher or something, and when I went to college, I started talking to my professors and things like that. And I started realizing, wow, there's actually a lot more to the world than the little small bubble I grew up in. And so I was able to, yeah, I mean, I thought I had a couple professors who were, kind of mentored me in a way, but when I got out of school, I started trying to associate myself with, other business owners. So like when I became a nurse practitioner, I remember working in the ER or the urgent care, and I'd ask, some patients who would come in, I'd see them pull up in a, really nice BMW or whatever. And I'd ask them, what do you do for a living? And they would tell me, and I would just pick their brain. And I remember one guy was like, here's my number, dude. If you ever need any help, just text me. And I texted him. And the guy owned a landscaping company of all things, but he was able to scale a landscaping company to $2 million a year. He had 20 trucks and 100 employees or whatever,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
really, yeah, he really shaped my mind there for about a year on really, build a business that works for you instead of you building a business that you have to work for. I remember him telling me that, and that really, I never heard that phrase before. And I was like, wow, that really makes a lot of sense. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to having you come on my business show as well, because what you have to say is very valuable to business people. And I like this phrase, build a business that works for you, not one that you have to work for. It's really very powerful and very profound if you think about it, because most of us are working for others. We're not having our businesses work for us. And I think that's what we've got to get to change.
Yeah. Yeah. You can either be a slave. I mean, you have two options, right? I mean, you are basically, you're either employed to someone else or you're employed to your own business. Yeah, and that's what self-employed means, right?
Yeah, it
Like
does.
a self-employed person doesn't necessarily mean they're an entrepreneur. They just
No, they own
started
a
their
job.
business. Yeah, they own a job. Exactly right, right? So like those are the two options really, unless you become an entrepreneur. And the way you become an entrepreneur is you build a business that works for you. You build a business that you don't have to work in, you just work on, right? So
Amen.
I think any young guy listening to this, that's what you really need to be thinking about. Build that kind of business. That's the kind of business you need to work for. Something that works for you.
Amen. Amen. Justin, you're a fucking cool dude, man. It's been cool talking to you. Enjoyed this conversation. And I know we've got a few other things that we're doing together. I'm excited to do all of those. And as soon as this podcast is over, let's book the next podcast. I'm glad I met you. And I think the people that listen to my podcast will be glad that you've been on the show. They're going to learn good things from you. So where do you want us to send people?
Yeah, they can just email me, Justin at procoursestart.com. So just procoursestart.com, or you can just go to procoursestart.com. If you email me directly, I'll answer it. I mean, I personally answer. I don't have some VA in India that does it. I answer. So
Nice.
just email me. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. All right, guys, take advantage of this. Justin, thanks for coming on the show. It's been a blast, and looking forward to the next interview we do together. God bless you.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Sovereign Man Podcast. If you're ready to take charge of your life and become the man you've always wanted to be, we invite you to join the movement at sovereignman.ca.